Shri Gauritai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Namah
Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem se Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakti Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Mayapur Dham ki Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Namaste Narasingh Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Shila Prabhupada. Nrsingadeva Bhagavan ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Jai Jai.
Papi tapi jatachi Hari name uddha Papi tapi
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much everyone for coming. We can start with invocation prayer. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Jabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giridhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giridhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Raja Jana Rajana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Raja Jana Rajana Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunjabihari Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunjabihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunjabihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunjabihari Jayo Gopi Janavalabha Jayo Giridhari Jayo Gopi Janavalabha Jayo Giridhari Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Vrajajana Rajana Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Vrajajana Rajana Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunjabihari Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunjabihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunjabihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunjabihari Jai Srila Prabhupada. We can just once. Yeah, Haribo. Can you take a mic and I think it's Srila Prabhupada is in the background. Oh yes, thank you. No, not my fingers. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for coming because today you will have to help me today. Maybe I will just adjust it to be a little less awkward. I think it. Oh, okay. Okay. I have to be a man. I have to know how to. I have to be a man and know how to adjust my microphone. At least, yeah. I guess if you want to serve by preaching, then you have to know all the technical things as well. Yeah. So thank you very much for coming. Today we are reading from the third canto. It will be a short and I hope sweet with your association. And then that's why I wanted to actually have maybe a mic for you as well. So because I would like to, I need you, and also I invite everyone online to listen through us on the YouTube live stream. And we have a chat, and this chat is amazing because we can communicate. And I would like to hear you guys also to participate in this online version of it. Come on, my internet. So today we are reading a verse. We have a Bhagavad Gita as it is from Srila Prabhupada. It is chapter 3, Karma Yoga, and it's a really nice chapter speaking of how to actually perform. Oh, thank you very much. How to perform activities in the world, not have to renounce it and go to the Himalayas, but actually how to do it and how to do it in a way that we get all the benefits of renouncing and going to kind of some austere places, perform our activities and get all the benefits out of it. So I think it's for most of us, like 99% of us, really relevant. Even we are brahmacharis, but still it's good to know, just in case. It's verse 20. And it's really interesting because it's going to also be connected with one great king, Janaka, which is also connected to Ramayana. And tomorrow is the appearance day of Lord Ramachandra, so I hope we can also glorify this personality as well a little. So, I'm going to read the verse and then you can repeat. Karma naiva hi samsiddhim astita janakadaya loka sangraham evapi sampashyam kartum arhasi karma naiva hi samsiddhim Astita janakadaya loka sangraham evapi sampasyam kartum arhasi karmaiva hi samsiddhim astita janakadaya Loka sangraha evapi sampashyan kartum arhasi karma naiva hi samsiddhim sastita janakadaya loka sangraha evapi Sampasya kartum arhasi. So, synonyms. Karmana, by work. Eva, even. He, certainly. Samsiddhim, in perfection. Astita, situated. Janaka adava, Janaka Adaya. Janaka and other kings. Loka Sangraham, the people in general. Evapi, also. Sampashyam, considering. Kartum, to act. Arhasi, you deserve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performing the prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Purport. Kings like Janaka were all self-realized souls. Consequently, they had no obligation to perform the prescribed duties in the Vedas. Nevertheless, they perform all prescribed activities just to set example for the people in general. Janaka was the father of Sita and father-in-law of Lord Sri Rama. Being a great devotee of the Lord, he was transcendently situated, but because he was the king of Mithila, a subdivision of Bihar province in India, he had to teach his subjects how to perform prescribed duties. Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the Lord's eternal friend, has no need to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. But they fought to teach people in general that violence is also necessary in the situations where good arguments fail. Before the battle of Kurukshetra, every effort was made to avoid the war, even by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the other party was determined to fight. So for such a right cause, there is a necessity for fighting. Although one who is situated in Krishna consciousness may not have any interest in the world, he still works to teach the people how to live and how to act. Experienced person in Krishna consciousness acts as is such a way that others will follow, and this is explained in the following verse. Om Gana Dimirandasya Gana Jana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tvaisme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namo Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadanmayam Dadanti Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gurapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopeka Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhyubhyevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebho Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, translation again. Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performing of described duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Thank you very much for coming. I don't feel so good today, but I will try to facilitate and try to be an instrument in your servant. So please thank you for tolerance, and I hope that also we have someone online listening to us. Krishna, welcome very much. Okay, so I think that we already have a question actually. The absence of Darshan system, what is the standard of described duties? Okay. Okay, let's keep that for the end. Maybe we're going to answer it during the class. So one thing that actually I got from this verse is that we need self-realized devotees to show us how to practice Vedic teachings in Krishna and follow Vedic teachings and Krishna's instruction. We need self-realized devotees to show us how to do this. So why I say this? Because it's interesting, just to point one thing. It is written first that Janaka attained perfection. So what would it perfection be? What kind of perfection we are actually speaking of?
Pure devotional service?
Pure devotional service. Yeah, and in general sense, maybe, I think it's like this is maybe the highest one. It's any more general perfection that usually Karma yoga is popular.
Detachment from
Attachment. Okay.
from work, like detachment from work for fruitive activities, but attachment for work for Krishna.
Okay. Yes, cool. Interesting.
I think that perfection in this context is that he's completely self-realized about all subject matters, about himself being the soul, Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the way to go back to impure devotional service, material world, spiritual world, so on. I think that's the perfection of Gyan, which is reached after the karma yoga section.
Interesting. At least the way how actually I understood it is, I guess this is also, as you said, that attain this realization of Krishna and our condition and our state. The way that actually many times perfection they're speaking about liberation. It's liberation, and I guess different liberations, but in sense that this perfection would not be what would be a perfection in today's world. If you say, you're sorry, like on the street, you ask, what would be a perfection of life? What would they say?
3 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
A big house,
A big house, big career,
famous,
I'm-
having 5 opulences of Krishna.
5 opulences. Maybe one. I don't need renunciation. 5 opulences.
6 opulences of Krishna.
6. He said 5. So 6, we don't need renunciation. We don't want to renounce. We want to have beauty. We want to have. What are the 6 opulences? Beauty, power, knowledge. Knowledge, look at this. Fame, wealth, renunciation. We're not ready for renunciation. Yes, we all want, how is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shakshtakam say, I don't have any attachment to what? To? Wealth, woman, as opposite sex. Followers, fame. And it's really kind of it's like fame. Being influential. Yes, it looks nice, but it's terrible. It can be terrible. So in this way, attain liberation. And it's right as prescribed duties. How do you understand this? So he attains liberation by performing prescribed duties. So it is in the translation. It said that Janaka Maharaj attained liberation solely by performing his prescribed duties. How do you understand this?
So, as a leader, it was to make sure that society was kept intact and not out of control. And I guess making sure that religious principles, I don't know about in this case, but the case of like in Bhagavad Gita, the Pandavas, their responsibility was to make sure that religion was still in society. So I don't know if it's the same for King Janaka, but just make sure that there's some principles followed.
So you say that king, just by following the Avanashram, he will get liberation. But so by following Vanashram, will he end up in heavenly planets, or he will attain liberation?
Well, Varnashram's goal is to elevate one to the platform of Krishna consciousness. So I would say that if one performs Varnashram successfully, then they will transcend Varnashram.
I mean, so many times Krishna is saying to Arjuna, if you die in the battlefield, you will end up in heaven, isn't it? As a king, its door to heaven is open to you. So,
I guess what he means is if you're following Varnashram, just following Varnashram, then you're in goodness.
Okay, if you just follow the Varnashram, you get piety, right? So how do we turn piety? Because we had actually a question online. We cannot follow Varnashram now. So, and how can we then? What is the prescribed duties? So we cannot. So how to answer this. The question is, Varnashram Dharma give us piety. But how does this Varnashram Dharma can turn into spiritual? How can our performance of Varnashram Dharma not give us piety, but give us love of Godhead?
One thing that comes to mind, I once read something where you basically take your passion in life and you take your duty in life, and then you find the middle point of that, and that's basically doing your duty properly and for the right reasons. So I think the point I'm making is that if we're able to do that, then we're doing our prescribed duties successfully. If we're doing them to a good standard through if, for example, Varna is based on what you're more naturally leaning towards. So at the moment, I mean, we're more Shudras, I believe, than anything else. So we can't really say where we are on that scale, because we're predominantly Shudra, if that makes sense.
How about this?
I don't know if that makes sense.
Just give a perception. It's interesting to give a perception. What I wanted to ask. So the kings, one of the things that king's duty, I was just reading Srimad Bhagavatam of Prithu Maharaj. So king's duty is to protect the citizens, to establish religion, to make sure that everybody is following the occupation and that everybody is religious, and that everybody, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, everybody is following religious path, and that they're actually, so that they're practicing religious paths. So, what is the point? As Bhagavad Gita, it is said that yagya it is made, so to perform yagyas, and from yagyas you were satisfied. The demigods will give you. But who is the ultimate enjoyer of the yagyas? Who is the ultimate enjoyer? Yogeshvara. And Yogeshvara is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in the sense, indirectly, you are worshipping Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because you are worshipping Him, you actually get some benefits. Until the point that you actually move this middleman and you actually start to worship Krishna directly. So actually, when we say about prescribed duties, we are actually speaking about working without attachments for results. But not only detachment from the results, but actually for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is actually, which is actually an answer to a question. How, what are described duties? How described duty is actually to perform Varnashram. I mean, we cannot perform Varnashram in the sense it's topsy-turvy. Even Srila Prabhupada said it would be topsy-turvy to try to fully utilize it. But our duty to just kind of do whatever you're doing, detached for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's really sublime. Because He is going to actually start to guide you. He's going to start to guide you. What you need to do, how you need to do. Especially if you're doing it for Him, you're not attached to the results. So in this sense, go back to the topic. So we are speaking that Janaka was liberated by performing duties for the Supreme, performing his duty, but he was a great devotee of the Lord Ramachandra. So whatever he was doing, he was actually detached, as King Prithu as well. He was also detached from all of these things. He was always actually considering to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he did 99 horse sacrifices. And Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, was satisfied, not because of the sacrifice itself, but actually his attitude towards it, his attitude and his character. He was satisfied with his character, not with sacrifice of yagya so much. Okay. So, why do you think? Do you think actually it's important to have examples in life, to have persons who are going to show us how to do things? I mean, can we just kind of take a brahmachari book, give it to some random people in the streets, and they'll say, "Just open brahmachari ashram now"? I don't know. How do you think? What will happen? You have a book, everything is written there, just follow the book.
I mean, you have a higher chance of misinterpretation if someone just reads a book without any guidance. Yeah.
So what are this is my second point, really connected to the second point, isn't it? What is the problem for, because here my sentence was the self-realized devotees should show us, self-realized devotees should show us the way. Because there is two words, that Krishna is called infallible, was the word, achyuta. And he's infallible, but conditioned souls are fallible, and they are called chutas, achyuta and chuta. So when we have, let's say, as you said, Pritan, we give a brahmachari guideline book to a random bunch of people on the street and say, now open the brahmachari ashram. So what are the conditionings that are stopping them to understand it fully? What are the impediments that will stop them?
Material attachments.
Sense gratification, okay. Where does this sense gratification come from? The influence of?
Being under illusion due to the 4 defects.
Yeah, 4 defects?
Yeah, one of them is under illusion, so that sense gratification comes. 4 defects, obviously mistake, cheating, imperfect senses.
Yes, isn't it? We have 4 defects, and we have 3 material modes, right? We are under the modes of material natures. We have the 4 defects. We are attached. And we are illusion. So we kind of in ignorance. So how many times happened to you? I don't know if you read Srimad Bhagavatam and it said you need to be sincere. You need to be humble. You need to be serious. You have to be devoted. It's it's written already. What's the problem? Humble. So, okay. So, how much in your experience, when did you learn the most? When did the biggest impression you got?
I guess when you experience something for yourself, that's when you learn the most. So I guess that's what self-realization is. Actually realizing something. It's for example, George Harrison, the devotees used to say he was very self-realized because he went on his own adventure and explored. He didn't really take shelter of just one person. He took shelter of many, many people. And then he came to the conclusion without even being in touch with Krishna consciousness. He came to the conclusion. Then he came into Krishna consciousness.
Nice, interesting. So how do I say, let's say, I have like in my own life, reading these literatures, like what is the three pillars of our spiritual life we were speaking yesterday in the Brahmacharya ashram? What are the three things we are try always to follow?
Guru,
Yes?
Sadhu,
Yes.
Shastra.
So okay, we have Shastra. Okay, we have Shastra. So why are the Guru and Sadhus important then?
Because the interpretation of Shastra is very complex.
Complex, isn't it? And so its interpretation is complex, but also how many things, let's say, how many Rasaraj, when you were traveling with your Guru Maharaj, you were traveling with a spiritual master for 1 year, how much did you learn just by seeing what he's doing?
The question is how much I learnt from seeing him.
Yeah, from like seeing, observing what he's doing.
Yeah, just by observing him, you could see that he's literally following pure devotional service, and by seeing him act by the desires of Srila Prabhupada, you can also understand how one should act, because in the next verse it explains, what great man does. Oh, he's preaching by example, so then we can follow. So yeah, I learned a lot, I could say.
So you can reflect in our lives how much actually observing someone, it's actually kind of seeing the mood in action, totally clears out the misconceptions of our own small world, and the definitions of all of these big exalted words, and seeing in the actions of others. I mean, so many times it's so interesting that really advanced devotee, humble devotees, you don't notice them. Because you expect that humbleness, everybody will glorify him. I mean, some of them are, but also many really, really advanced devotees, you have no idea. They're not glorified. But they are glorified by advanced devotees. That's interesting. The advanced devotees are glorifying them because they notice them. Because they know what they have to look. But a neophyte devotee, they come, okay, who's the most popular speaker? So he will see him, but maybe you will not see a person who is waking up for 30 years, 4 in the morning, chanting his rounds, reading all the books, following everything. You will not see him. So it's like, showing by example, and so many times when I'm actually reading the Shastra, just by reflecting on the people that I saw here, I had lots of aha moments, like, oh yeah, this becomes not like a theory, it becomes like a fact that you can actually perceive that it's here. So it's kind of amazing. It's amazing just by seeing and each other in this way. So it's really interesting how even King Prithu, also he was actually really showing. He was Shaktyavesha avatar. He was empowered to show how to lead, and he was leading the whole world. And it's really interesting. Also Janaka, also self-realized persons, that how Krishna always sends self-realized persons to show us, because they don't have these, faults or 4 defects. They are not under the modes of material natures. They are not attached. They are always constantly thinking of Krishna and how to satisfy the Lord. And they don't have any obligation, but they do it because they are they can perfectly show through the whole life how to do this. So also. What's the son of, what's called, grandson of Yudhishthira? Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj as well. Self-realized person from the beginning, showing how to rule the world. So this is the point, how actually self-realized persons are showing us what standard we should have. And yes, the last point last point, we were speaking of how it's important actually to have a person who can show us how much is beneficial of our lives, how actually it's actually beneficial, like how it's important that Krishna is always sending self-realized persons to show us these things. I have like a short story of to glorify Janaka Maharaj through this story. Why he was actually, let's just read this. It was really interesting to find this. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna praises only one personality, and that is King Janaka. Interesting. Sita Mata is the daughter of King Janaka, and she got married to Lord Rama. After getting married to Lord Rama, she was undergoing so many tribulations. She went to the forest with Lord Ram and undergo so many sufferings. Then, when they came to back Ayodhya again after so many years, she was sent to the forest. She was brought up with so much love in Mithila. The father of a daughter will become so much anxious when his daughter is suffering too much in her in-law house. But Janaka never asked Rama or Dasharatha why these things are happening. In no place Janaka interfered in the family affairs of Sita Mata. Moral of the story: we should not poke our nose in others' affairs, especially in the daughter's family. Rama appreciated this quality of Janaka within his heart. As Rama, he couldn't glorify Janaka, but as Krishna, he glorified Janaka very nicely. We should not become too intimate with our relationships. Too much intimacy always results a problem. We should have a good working relationship with everybody. If our relationship with others, living entities, is completely strained, our mind keeps on pondering over the same things. Then we will not have peaceful time to do devotional service. A simple person does not poke his nose in others' affairs unnecessarily. We always have the urge to poke our nose in everybody's affairs, but it created too much agitation to other living entities. We should understand people in general don't like advices. So it's like a little glorification of Jagat Maharaj. Yeah. So yes, I think there is no more question online, and so yes. So to summarize, we were speaking about how self-realized Krishna sends a self-realized person to show us how to practice Krishna consciousness and Vedic teachings in the proper way, detached from the material conceptions, self-realized, above the three modes. In this way, showing us, that the point is to get back to Godhead. And that we were speaking how this is also, we found it in our lives, how this is important, how actually these persons, and we were glorifying Janaka Maharaj a little. So, yes, this is it. Anything you would like to add, or? Yes, please.
Myself and I asked Rasraj earlier actually a question about leadership.
Okay.
How one can develop qualities in leadership. So I felt it would be good to get another's opinion on, or another's kind of knowledge on leadership and how one can, I guess, increase their qualities in leadership. Just like obviously King Janaka was a great leader, how can we also be a great leader?
I don't know if I would be able to answer you something concretely. accept that, at least in that leader should actually always. I know that King Prithu Maharaj, when in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is emphasizing how he is always taking care. He's not attached to the position. He's so aloof from position. He's doing this to satisfy and to care for others. And he does it as a service to the Lord. So in a sense, he was always taking care that everybody was doing what they should do, but that they were happily engaged in that. And they were always protected, they were always acknowledged, and yeah, it's like really selfless actually. Selfless. Today's leaders are, it's all about me, but actually real leadership is all about your subordinates. Yeah.
That's a really good point, because we see many great leaders, for them to get to the position they're in, they actually give up the most. It's like, I'll take a basic example. I used to be a big football fan, and you'd see like the captains or the best players, they were generally the leaders of the team. And that's because they worked the hardest, and that's how they developed those skills of being the best on the team. So in the same way, if they're sacrificing so much to get to that point. In the same way, if one sacrifices so much in a selflessly, they can then get to that same point, I guess. So at that point, very much.
But you will know better than me, so.
No, you're a good leader.
Krishna. I don't know. I'm trying to be a servant, and then whatever it manifests itself outside. But yeah, thank you. You're a really humble person. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai.
Bhaktivedanta ki Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Haribo. Now I can go. Now I have to go and read Srimad Bhagavatam for my daily.